Hey, welcome to Rye Reactions. I'm Ted, this is Brett, and today we're talking about E3 2018. Just so you know.
Not 2017?
2017 is so this week. I'm just messing. It's 2017.
Of course it's 2017. And there's a lot going on that they announced this week.
So many games. Like, so many new things.
Here we go!
What did you think about the Xbox conference? That was the big thing this year, was they were going to reveal what Project Scorpio was. How did you feel like the almost 2-hour conference went?
It may be, for the first time ever, the most powerful video game platform there is.
Mm-hmm.
Never before has, that I can think of, and I could be wrong, but never before that I know for sure has there ever been a video game console where they're like, here's a video game controller, here, like, you plug it on the back of your TV, this is not just a computer, this isn't a gaming PC, this is a console that trumps gaming PCs.
Yeah.
Like, do better gaming PCs exist? Yes. For the price point, not by 1,000 miles. Or dollars, for that matter. Like,
That's what I was talking to my...
wildly powerful, considering it's just a gaming console.
Yeah. My friends at work who game on PC were talking about how impressed they were that they got it at that is a $500 price point versus,
Right. Finally, the
true
Xbox
4K.
is being, like, finally Microsoft is doing the hardware with longevity in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just guessing that they didn't expect the generation that, like, in which they released the 360 to be 9 years long.
That was a really long console generation.
I don't think that they expected that, and so, like, when they released it, it was like, oh, hey, this is as good as, like, cheap gaming PCs. Like, alright, like, I'm cool with it. And then 10 years later, it's like, what did you do? Well, we put a much better fan in it over the last decade. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, 10 years, and by the time we got the Xbox One, the 360 was so obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
It was silly.
We got the official name, the One X.
Yeah.
True 4K, 9 gig of RAM, available to developers. That's more than any other console has on, like, actually in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
The question is, how do I
far and away the most
become
powerful.
a developer? Because I want the super box. I sat through their whole presentation. I sat there while Major Nelson asked the dude to explain the whole thing, and I was like, sounds like you really want me to buy it. And I am so there. And they're like, and just for developers. I was like, right. What do I have to do to be a developer? Like, if I get a tattoo across my forehead that says developer, will they believe me? I just want it. It's so beefy.
Yeah. First-party exclusives for Microsoft. Anything stand out? I thought Sea of Thieves looked good, but it's a 2018 title now.
Mm-hmm.
That game needed to launch with the Xbox One X.
Right.
Honestly. Granted, it's not going to look that much... I mean, sure, it will look better on it, but it's not like the realistic graphics thing. That's another cel-shaded shaded game, so it's going to look great even on your Xbox One.
Hey, let's talk about backward compatibility.
Yes.
Way back. Backward compatibility. Way back compatibility.
This is something I love about Phil Spencer and his, him leading the Xbox team, is that he's committed to making positive player business decisions, even if they're not terribly lucrative financially,
yeah.
right? Like, that's not a real profitable part of their business, but they're doing it because he believes that it's important to be able to play everything you ever bought.
Yeah.
And
I
really admire that.
I feel much more, like, catered to by the Xbox team than I have in the past.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed with that. I was like, wow, they seem to care what we think instead of just caring about whether they're like, yeah, they're mad, but they'll still buy it.
Right.
Which is kind of how they did that when they first released the Xbox, but, like, I'm forgiving them pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay, original Xbox game. Let's just say that backward compatibility is universal. Every single original game. What one are you most excited to play?
Ooh.
You can, like, your number one.
I can only pick one? Or just my number one?
Just your number one that you are just the most excited to play from the original Xbox. I know what mine is, like, so fast.
Yeah, what is yours?
Dude, mine is Star Wars Republic Commandos.
Oh, gosh. I forgot about that game.
Oh my gosh. There's a trilogy of books that I'll let you borrow if you haven't already borrowed them.
I haven't borrowed them.
No. Oh, they're so good.
You only lend me your Halo books.
Oh, well, I have those too. I have a lot of Star Wars books. Anyway, Star Wars Republic Commando, I have worked really hard to try to play that, and I cannot. It's not possible for me to play that.
I would imagine that's going to be, that'll be on the top of the list as well.
It had better be.
Because that one, they showed Crimson Skies.
Which is everyone has been into for
amazing. So long. Yeah, we love that game. I had that game once, and now I don't. And now I'm really mad. I'm really mad. It was one of those games that I let someone borrow, and it never came back. And I don't remember who I lent it to.
Yeah, in high school, in another town, in another decade. Who knows?
Yep. Probably ended up in GameStop for 25 cents, and then GameStop threw it away.
File this one under T.
Right.
For trash.
Other games that I thought I'm really excited about, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Which
I was surprised you held it in this long. I was like, oh, he's going to be pumped.
I loved that game. I didn't beat it. Stephanie has beat it multiple times.
All the ways you can beat this game.
I was one of those people who got to the water tree and gave up.
It's too hard.
Even though everyone said that it's the hardest part in the game, and once you get past it, it's fine, I still gave up. And that's only like a fourth of the game.
Yeah.
But still, like, I'm still super excited that The Will of the Wisps is coming out.
Well, fortunately for you, they said that they don't want to have like a difficulty gate anymore.
Right.
They want it to be challenging, but with Will of the Wisps, they want to make it possible.
Yeah.
That there's no way that you can get too frustrated and quit.
Yeah. What was amazing is that even though, like, so I played that game and I got a little bit invested in the characters, when I watched Stephanie play it, like, some of those, like, quote-unquote cutscenes, like, they're crazy emotional.
Yeah.
Like, that is not, like, a happy game. But I love it because how it makes you feel, and so I'm super excited to see more of that universe.
Yeah. Now, what about indie games?
They had a lot of indie games they threw up there. The Last Night looked like a really fun, mix between 8-bit, 16-bit, probably 16-bit gaming and Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to know more. Like, you don't really see hardly any gameplay, but I want to know more about this game. And then Ashen is another one that was like, oh, I love that art style. And it just looks kind of creepy because the people have faces, but at the same time, like... So what I heard in another interview was that it's kind of like Dark Souls.
Yeah,
and that it's actually like going to be pretty brutally hard.
Which means I probably will not play it. Life is already hard enough. Why do I want to go to my escapism and then be like, oh, I had a really difficult day at work, but a worse day on the Xbox?
What indie or ID at Xbox games did you see that piqued your interest?
Mostly what I liked about it is that they're just doing everything that they can to not lower the bar, but broaden the door for indie developers to get in. They're like, this is free, that's free. The dev boxes are super accessible, and it helps you get your games going even faster so that you can just get them through, debug them, and then go back and fix everything. And one of the things that I love about indie games, because for a long time I was like, dude, I'm all about the AAA games.
Right.
I only care about the big studio games. But with this generation, I have been funneled back into indie games by my desire to find games that I can do 4-player local co-op.
Yeah. Because
Xbox wants you to buy...
Yeah, the big AAA games don't let you do that anymore.
Yeah, they're like, everybody owns their own system. And I'm like, wouldn't that be nice for you? Like, if I invite the 6th grade, 7th grade now, excuse me, gentlemen. If I invite the 7th grade boys that I work with at the youth group over to my place to play video games, we're only going to play indie games.
Right.
Or backward compatible games, because I can't split screen Battlefield for them.
Fusion Frenzy. The original Fusion Frenzy.
The original Fusion Frenzy from, like, everybody just looks like a bunch of 2x4s running around and hitting stuff.
It may have. I know there was a Fusion Frenzy 2 for the 360, and I actually think that's backwards compatible. But I don't know if they remade the original Fusion Frenzy or made it back compat for the 360s. But oh my gosh, if I could play that,
that would be super fun, because
please,
Microsoft
Phil Spencer, Fusion Frenzy.
Microsoft has been really lacking in the party game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was asking my wife, "Are you interested in getting a Nintendo Switch?" And she's like, "I don't care about more video games. Like, you can do that if you want with your money, but like, nah." But I was like, "Well, we have no party games, babe. My whole gaming setup is set for, like, I am a solo gamer. I play by myself. I wear a headset. I have the whole TV to myself. Right now, basically either our choices on my Xbox are indie games or save up and get a Nintendo console if we're going to have people over." And Nintendo is awesome, but
Nintendo's Nintendo, right?
They are not
just
interested
do their own
in
thing.
hardcore gamers.
Right.
They just don't care.
Right.
Which is fine.
And we saw that from their presentation this year as well. Mm-hmm. Most of their games, which admittedly are coming out this year, most of the games they announced.
Yeah, because they're clearly really pushing the Switch for Christmas sales this year. And so they're trying to get their big IPs out right before Christmas so that people get excited about it. People will be like, "Oh man, I want that crazy Mario Body Snatcher game for Christmas with a Nintendo Switch. Like, it's gonna be so cool."
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, what I have written down here, Rocket League really impressed me.
Yeah, I love Rocket League.
Like, I don't have that game on any other console, but now that it's coming to Switch, and I'll be able to crossplay with people on Xbox and
that's
PC,
a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah, because
that's awesome.
I have Rocket League.
Now we'll be able to play together.
And to play from Xbox One X, long name, but to play from the Xbone over to the Switch, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I've been demanding that for a long time in my other games, not getting it.
ARMS looked actually a lot more fun than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And then they announced the Pokemon RPG is coming,
which is
probably not for 2 years, but
so overdue.
Very overdue.
Like, wildly overdue.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a console Nintendo, like a Pokemon game on a console since what? Pokemon Snap? Pokemon Battle Stadium 2 on the N64. I mean, I loved them. They're super fun. Snap was weird. Why would you pay $60 to fake take pictures? I played it. I bought it for my best friend so I could play it at his house.
That's awesome. Obviously, there's Mario Odyssey, which that's kind of their big game for this fall.
Nintendo, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I want to be impressed with this game. I want to really like it. I want to buy it for Brett so that I can come over to play it at his house. But as it stands right now, I am weirded out by Super Mario Odyssey. What is the deal with the body snatching hat? that skeeves me out, man. The rest of it's really pretty and exciting looking.
Yeah, I'd say the art direction looks really good. The gameplay looks fun. I hadn't thought about it as body snatching before. Although I guess we hadn't really seen the whole body snatching part of it until just this week.
Yeah.
Can you inhabit people? I don't know if I saw them inhabit people.
I have a memory of seeing that. It may have been a fabricated memory, but I'm pretty sure it was real.
If I find it when I dig through footage, it'll be on screen right now.
Yeah, and I definitely saw Mario interacting with normal-looking human beings, and it was super weird that he's still like, oh, he's a gnome. What do you know? Like,
Right.
Like, there's a man playing a guitar in the park, and he's black, and he is like 6 feet tall, and Mario is 2.5 feet. Who knew? Like, he must not have had his mushrooms yet, man. Like, that's weird. Why would you go with that art style? Why wouldn't everybody look like Mario?
Right.
Or, yeah, no, we're not making Mario a 6 foot some Italian man.
You can't change him up
With
too
like
much.
a dreamy torso and stuff. Like, he has to stay the little pudge man.
Yeah. Mario is starring in another game this year.
Right.
The team up with Ubisoft, which I thought was weird.
It was a really interesting move. Nintendo is, I think that at this point, Nintendo is trying to pretend like everything's fine, and Switch is selling really well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the Rabbids move is, like, Nintendo's starting to open to these third-party collaborators being more involved with their own IP, with the Nintendo IPs.
Right.
Which we haven't seen since, in like 20 years that I know of.
Oh, yeah.
We had some that were way back in the 90s on like the Game Boy. Like OG Game Boy, we had some of those, but not for a long time.
Well, they did another thing with Bethesda in bringing, this year, when they announced Skyrim for the Switch.
Right.
You can now play you can play with Link armor and the Master Sword in Skyrim.
Which is really the only reason I stopped playing Skyrim, is because I couldn't do any of that, so now I will. But I have to buy that Switch that my wife was ambivalent about. Dang.
Just show her Mario Kart.
I'll probably just buy her a 3DS. Or a 2DS. It's much cheaper.
Much cheaper. Much cheaper. Other things I'm excited about from Nintendo. Breath of the Wild DLC. DLC 1 is coming out at the end of this month. The contents was announced a while ago. Not anything crazy exciting. DLC 2, though, is coming at the end of the year and is supposed to be really, actually has more story. And so I'm excited for that.
Which we need more of.
Oh, absolutely.
Pretty badly. Will I stop? No.
No.
I just want more story.
And then 3 out of nowhere for me in development games: Yoshi, Kirby, and Metroid Prime 4.
That blew my mind.
With the old school sounding audio. I mean,
yeah.
I assume you do that intentionally. I mean, I assume it's going to be more of a return to form than here's a new take on Metroid.
I think there are 2 of them. There are 2. They're talking about Metroid Prime again, but then also a Metroid Return of Samus type thing.
Okay.
And my understanding, and I could be wrong, but what I kind of got was not only are we getting a new Metroid game, but we're getting 2 new Metroid games. Yeah. It just occurred to me that I will have to buy a Switch. Just when you were talking about that, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so excited about it. Dang it. I have my list is already too expensive. My queue of things I want to buy.
I know.
Doggone it.
That's it.
All right, Nintendo, you win my business. You know what I really, I will always give Nintendo whatever money they ask for to make happen? Fire Emblem. Not enough people are obsessed with this game series, but I am.
So are you getting
I'm getting whatever it takes to play Fire Emblem Warriors.
I didn't put down Did I put down the exact date for that? Hold on.
I don't have it off the top of my head. I just go into my GameStop and say, take my money. And then they pre-order.
Fall 2017.
Good.
So no.
Dang it! I don't have enough time.
But no official date, which probably means it's not locked in yet, which means it might be pushed to spring.
Yeah, but I don't have enough time to get the money for the Xbox One X and a Switch and the game, plus the Xbox games that I am locked in for that are coming out this fall.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm not made of money. If I were, can you imagine how wealthy I'd be with all this?
Should we start a GoFundMe for Ted?
GoFundMe so I can spend my 3 hours every Friday on more games. The 2 things that I saw that made me oh man, I wish I had that PS4 Pro was God of War Man, the new God of War. I loved, like, the first, I don't know, however, I'm not sure how many we have now, but the first 2 or 3 I played on the PS2 and just
I think there's 4.
loved them so much.
Yeah.
It was one of the things when I was balancing, like, do I get an Xbox or do I get a PS4?
Yeah.
I was like, Halo or God of War. That's what it came down to. And Halo won because I knew my wife would really not like God of War.
Well, and
She doesn't like Assassin's Creed either, but, like, it's not the reason I got the Xbox.
there hasn't been a God of War this generation, has there?
I mean, like I said, I haven't been keeping that close an eye on it, but I'm going to say no.
I don't
They've
think there
done some
has been.
remasters in the
Oh,
last
okay.
5 years or so, but, like, doggone it. So God of War is super exciting.
Yeah.
And also I heard that, well, and I saw, that you guys that are Sony fans are getting a totally new Shadow of the Colossus.
Is that a new Shadow of the Colossus or is that a remake?
That's a remake, but I mean totally new. This isn't a remaster. This isn't like,
Okay.
oh, we skinned the old one. Like,
Sure.
new, totally rebuilt Shadow of the Colossus, which is apparently one of the best video games of all time.
It's revered pretty highly, from what I hear.
All time? Good for you guys. I'm, like, so happy for you the way that I am for someone who's into something I'm not into. Like, for example, if I was into Xboxes and somebody else was into... Whoops.
Oh boy. So, from someone who's not a Sony fanboy, I don't consider myself an Xbox fanboy.
Yar.
Fanboy?
He's lying.
Fanboy? I don't go around bashing people because they have PlayStations. That's what a fanboy does.
I accidentally did yesterday. I got carried away, and I would like to apologize. Manon, please forgive me. That was not kind or fair. Continue.
Anyways, so if I was a PlayStation gamer, I don't feel like I would have been excited by E3 this year because they only announced like 3 things that are coming out this fall.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, those things are going to be good. Uncharted's going to be like a great story game.
Mm-hmm.
Days Gone looks, like a kind of a open world survival. Not necessarily survival, but I mean, we have kind of games like that. But it looks good.
Yes.
And then the Horizon Zero Dawn DLC, which is DLC, but Horizon is.
But that's exciting.
It's a really good game, and like if you want that DLC, you should be excited. Now,
Basically,
2018.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a big year.
Sony's going to be knocking out of the park next year, guys. Like, Shadow of the Colossus, God of War. We'll see if Detroit and Spider-Man are coming. They didn't have dates. They didn't have 2018.
But they both looked
look really good.
Like,
yeah.
I was watching the trailer for Detroit, and I was like, oh, well, this is compelling. I wanna know how they're gonna make it work. It's for the PlayStation. I was like, dang it.
Yeah, it looks really complex, but like,
Yeah.
so intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I was like, so many ethical questions. Wow.
I mean, realistically, for someone who is trying to, who this year bought a Switch, is going to be trying to buy a One X in the next year, like, realistically, I'm probably going to try and pick up a PS4, like, on Facebook Marketplace, right? Like, I'm not going to go buy one for full retail because I just don't have that kind of money. But I really want to play in 2018 this catalog of games.
Right.
So I'm going to have to find one somewhere.
Yeah. And then the Spider-Man, that was so cool. They're doing a lot of really, really interesting things about that. Or like with it, and they're bringing in a guy who from a different world, like from a different Earth type of a, not quite DC multiverse, but it's Marvel. So they they have a guy who is also Spider-Man.
Yeah, Miles.
Who's gonna be Miles something?
No, Miles Teller is an actor. My apologies, Miles Teller. Miles something.
They're gonna have him in there, and I think that's super cool and interesting because in our lifetimes, we have heard this, like, how many times have we seen Spider-Man? Since, like, the early 2000s, like, not even our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. We are done with new, like...
We're on our third cinematic Spider-Man.
We need a new Spider-Man is what we need, and it looks like they're going to deliver while also, like, really paying attention to the comics and progressing the mythos of Spider-Man. I also loved that they are doing everything that they can from the bottom all the way up to keep it non-fatal. That there will be no killing in this game.
I watched that, and that's what, I mean, not that specifically, not the non-killing. I don't have a problem with that. Like,
I just think it's very interesting, and, like, that's...
My
it's a
worry
cool way
is...
to go with it, because the character feels that way.
Sure.
But then in the games, you're like, I threw that guy off a skyscraper.
Right.
But then in this one, if somebody does happen to fall off, they have, like, they have animations where, like, he webs them back to safety just in case.
So that's what worries me in terms of, like, playing this game. Like, I think I'll enjoy watching this game. Mm-hmm. But I don't enjoy games that are just about quick time events. And, like, if it's not going to allow me the freedom to, you know... If it's always going to make me save someone from falling off a skyscraper, I'm going to assume that they're just going to make that be a thing that happens very rarely, so you don't always see Spider-Man like, oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I think it should just be like a really, really fast animation that doesn't affect anything. That it's an animation, but that it's not an action.
Yeah.
Like, so that your character isn't interrupted in combat. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's about to punch me. I need to parry. Nope, now I'm automatically, like, webbing somebody. I think it's just going to be...
If they can...
And, like, that's it.
If they can create a system like that looks good and doesn't affect play, I would, like... Hats off, because combat is so complicated in those games. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, props to them. It's still at least a year away. At least a year away. So, we'll see.
Super intriguing.
Very intriguing. I mean, I want to see more of it.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Definitely.
Any of the VR stuff from Sony pique your interest?
Not even a little bit. I am no fun or help on this one.
No, that's fine. I was going to say, most of the... I think they showed 6 games at the actual presentation. 5 of them looked meh. Moss looked interesting, mostly just because it reminded me so much of Redwall.
Now we're talking.
And it's called Moss. Like, the forest that
Redwall
is in is Moss Flower.
I didn't realize that this was a VR thing. I
Oh.
saw that, and I was intrigued, and I drew the same connection.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you also liked those books.
Oh, I love those books.
I read like 17 of them, and I think he's written more.
I haven't read any for like the past 4 years. But
I haven't either. But the point is that... What if they made a Redwall game series? I would totally buy whatever console I was exclusive to. If this turns out to be like an unlicensed Moss Flower series...
I think that's what it's gonna... I think it's gonna be
If it's
heavily influenced by Redwall, but
If it's
not
like-
officially Redwall.
If it's like Martin the Warrior, then I'll be... If they're like, oh yeah, then there's this guy named Matthewus, and he's obsessed with Martin the Warrior, I'm gonna be like, purchase. Just own the game and be like, I'll get the rest of you later.
A warrior must not feel for his enemy. Close your heart to their desperation. Close your heart to their suffering.
So overall, for the conferences or presentations, Nintendo doesn't really have a conference. They have their Nintendo Direct, which is it's just a 30-minute video of everything they're doing.
Yep. It's a brief.
It's very brief, but it's, I mean, this year it really worked for me.
Yeah.
Do you want to rate them at all? I don't know if you've...
Rate what?
I mean, you didn't really watch any... What would you have given the Xbox conference?
Out of 10?
Yeah, like out of 10.
Out of 10, I would give it a 7.5.
Okay.
There were some things that I was like really pumped about, and then there were some things where I'm like, you're kicking a dead horse, man.
Yeah.
Like, why am I supposed to care?
Yeah.
But most of it I was super into.
Yeah. I would agree. I think I would give it an 8 simply because new hardware, most powerful console ever.
Yeah.
Big announcement. I think they had a lot of exclusives and exclusives
It was-
slash
They announced
launch
40
exclusives.
They announced 42 new games and 22, I think.
Not necessarily new. I mean, not first time we've heard them. But
No, but they're like, hey, this is a slate
Sure.
of 42 new games coming to Xbox One,
in the next
and then
year and a
22
half.
of those were exclusives,
Yeah. No.
which is nuts.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good conference.
Right.
Sony stuff didn't really get me that excited for this year. Now they had some good hype train pieces for next year. They kept it quick. The hour that it went by really fast. I'm gonna give them like a 7 to 7.5. I thought it was a good conference, but I just thought that they were lacking in. What do we have this year to play?
Yeah.
For exclusives. Third party, yeah, they showed Call of Duty and they showed Destiny, but like, I can play it on my Xbox.
Yeah. I thought that Sony is doing a really good job bringing their historical content back to the fore. Like I said, I mean, when I was deciding which console I was going to go with for this generation, I was picking between God of War or Halo. And I chose Halo because the God of War content had started to drop off, and I knew that within the lifespan of this generation, I'm planning to have children, and I'm not going to be, like, ripping demons apart with just blood all over your screen in front of them. So I went with the Xbox. So to see them bringing that back and giving you... And at this point, it's like, what is left for Kratos? They're like, well, he could go deal with the flippin' Norse gods.
Yeah.
That's cool. He's got a
really
kid
cool.
now. Double cool. And honestly, if you were 13 and you played the minigames in the first few games as many times as I did, that was a given. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyways, you were overall pretty impressed with Sony's offerings this year.
Yeah, I think they're beefing their game library in an effective way that gets people excited in, like, this is what Sony has always done. This is what Sony's been about. Like, if Nintendo went this long without bringing a new Mario game, it would be weird.
Yeah.
And Sony did go a long time without bringing things that I think of as, like, there's a quintessentially Sony game.
Sure.
So, there was that. But they did, and I'm pumped about it.
Awesome.
For them.
Nintendo? I mean, you've already said twice that now you have to buy a Switch this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of torqued about it. I'm so interested and so excited about the Metroid games and Fire Emblem Warriors, which nobody else cares about. I'm just obsessed with Fire Emblem. I love the strategy. I love the turn-based, all of it. Like, the turn-based strategy, the character development is, like, really good. I care about those characters. And then when you play the next game and they're different characters, like, oh man, and then halfway through you're like, don't die on me now! And so it's a big, like, I'm into that. I love that. I love that series.
Cool. Yeah, I thought Nintendo knocked it out of the park. They did exactly what they need to do, which is, we have a new console. Here are just a ton of stuff that we're going to throw at you, right?
Yeah.
And here's a bunch of stuff that's coming out this year.
Right.
And then here's some really big IPs that are coming out next year.
Yeah. They really needed that shot in the rear. Like, they needed something to give new life.
Yeah. That for coming off of a console release, I think Nintendo had a perfect conference.
Yeah.
I think they did everything right.
That's a big endorsement.
Good for them. I mean, this is the first time I've ever been a Nintendo customer. I've never had a Nintendo console up until the Switch. I've had a Game Boy Advance back when I was in middle school. But
how did you have Super Smash parties at your house when you were a kid?
I was neglected that joy.
No, but nobody didn't have Super Smash parties. I don't understand your response.
Luckily, our neighbor across the street,
go.
our neighbor behind the backdoor neighbor had it. So
suddenly you're best friends.
Thank you, Corey Rickner.
Thank you for owning an N64. Oh yeah.
Yeah.